Welcome to the first part of my video series on two sample proportion hypothesis tests. All right, so here's our question. We survey a random sample of 12 to 17-year-olds and 75 out of 112 play video games while quarantined. We then survey a random sample of 18 to 23-year-olds and 63 out of 104 play video games while quarantined. Is there sufficient evidence to support that the two proportions are different? So what we want to know is, do 12 to 17-year-olds play video games more frequently or less frequently than 18 to 23-year-olds? Is there a way to statistically show that? All right, so our first sample is the 12 to 17-year-old group, and it's 75 out of 112. Okay, so this is sample one. All right, sample two are my 18 to 23-year-olds, and that's 63 out of 104. Okay. So this first part that I'm doing is just trying to get a sense of what the actual percents are. So if I take 75 and divide it by 112, I get right around 67%. Okay. If I take 63 and divide it by 104, I get right around 61%. Okay, these 2% are pretty close, but the question is, are these close enough to be considered the same? Okay, so that's supposed to be a little question mark. It's hard to see that. Let's try that one more time. I know it's not important, but I did it. Okay, there we go. All right, so one way that we could show whether they're the same or different is by using confidence intervals, but we want to do this time is use a hypothesis test. Okay, so our null hypothesis is always going to be that they are equal to each other. But as we learned in confidence intervals, how we show whether or not they're equal to each other, I mean, we could write P1 equals P2, but what's going to happen in reality is we're going to subtract P2 over and have it equal to 0. So that's what it's going to look like when we go over to StatCrunch. You can write this. That's totally fine. But that's what it's going to look like in StatCrunch. Okay. For the alternate hypothesis, what we want is we have three choices. Greater than, less than, or does not equal to. Typically, I just go ahead and use does not equal to every single time. So what this would be is we'd have P1 minus P2 does not equal 0. If, however, you want to use a less than or greater than, you have to first know which one you think is bigger. So P1 is this 0.67. It is bigger than 0.61. So the other version that you could do here is you could do P1 is greater than P2, which would translate to P1 minus P2 is greater than 0. Okay, that is part one. I'm going to do part two next.